I'm sure you've read the title and I bet you're confused seeing how you can relate Uber and email marketing. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down why you should be stealing Uber's tactics when it comes to your post-purchase and how it's going to help your customers have a better experience buying from your brand. Take it back to a time before Uber, you'd call up a taxi or a cab and you'd say, I need a taxi for so-and-so time at this destination. All you're going to get is a confirmation saying, yep, that's all booked. You're stood there waiting and hoping like this old geezer here. And you can start asking yourself questions. So, should I start walking? Is it actually going to be coming, or how long is it going to be? When you don't actually have a tracking guide or anything like this, all you're left with a confirmation of them saying, yep, it's all booked. You actually start asking questions. And this you can relate to buyer's remorse. This is exactly how people feel when they purchase from your store, because all these years have gone by, there's been dodgy brands, people haven't received their products, shipping's taken 3, 4, 5 weeks. People are very skeptical, and buyer's remorse is very, very common. So this is something which really does resonate with this kind of situation. The issue we have with this as well, if this taxi pulls up and it's late, you've had no heads up, you've had no warning, you've literally been left in the dark waiting. So you could be stood outside in the freezing cold, it's raining, and your taxi's still not turned up. All this does is give you a shitty experience, and you're more than likely not going to order from this taxi company again. So this is kind of a gist of how a lot of e-commerce brands operate with their post-purchase. And you can actually relate a lot of these problems, and how Uber handles their whole journey with Uber Eats and their taxis. This is when it's going to start making a lot more sense how you can relate this to your e-commerce brand. So if we can see some of these notifications when you get Uber Eats. So when you place your order, you get a notification saying that they're preparing your order, the order's been received. Then you also get a notification saying when it's actually going to be arriving, kind of the times, so you can prepare yourself around this delivery. Then you get a confirmation saying, thanks for ordering, please rate a review, things like this. Everything is in stages, everything builds up the hype, and you know exactly what stage your order's in. You can even see it coming towards you. Any progression, so when you see progression, is better than seeing no progression. So even if this is going to take longer, the fact you can see it's whatever stage of the journey it's in kind of gives you hope that it's actually getting done and it's actually on its way, so the wait doesn't seem as bad. Here again, we can see that the whole tracking process, even when you order the food or if you're ordering your Uber like a taxi, you can see exactly where it's going to be. So even if it's taking longer, like I said, you can actually see the progression and it's on its way. You're not being left in the dark, which is ultimately what a lot of people would prefer. So even if your product is going to take a while to ship, anything along these lines, if people are actually given a heads up or told about it, it just makes the situation a lot easier to handle. You also get really good emotions as well. So when your food's arriving and you can see it's on its way, the driver's getting closer and closer. It's building up the excitement, the anticipation, especially if you're waiting for food or you're waiting for a lift, and you kind of have that excitement and the relief that your food's on its way, your lift's on its way. So again, this is how you want to be playing the emotions of email. A lot of people in their post-purchase just send some basic generic flow where it's just saying, thank you, here's your product, here's a cross-sell, leave a review. There's no build-up and there's no expectation to actually make people excited about their product. There's a lot of points I'm going to get into in a minute as well, breaking each email down and how you can actually do this relating to how Uber runs it. So you might be thinking, how does all this come into play when it comes to the post-purchase? This is very, very important, and I've actually seen a lot of brands get crippled by not having a good post-purchase setup, and I'll be breaking it down step by step now. So your customers actually invested money into your brand. Although you look at it as if they've just purchased something from you and you're sending them a product, they're actually invested in you. They want to get some result from using your product, whether that's feeling good, looking good, whatever it could be. They're actually investing money into you guys. So they need to know that what the money that they're put into you, they're actually going to get a good experience and that the whole process is going to be good and they're going to want to come back for some more. More often than not, people don't actually know how long the shipping will take because it's quite vague on a lot of websites, even from myself purchases and stuff. You never fully understand other than if it says next day delivery guaranteed. You don't know how long shipping is actually going to take. So this could be making people start questioning if they put the right address in, if their parcel's been lost. All these things just make it a really crappy experience. So if you spend the time and they can see progression, which is the next point here, when people see work or updates, it puts them at ease knowing that you're actually working to get things done. This point is really important because imagine if you hired someone to do a job, let's say they are mowing lawns and properties. If they're not sending you updates or they're not saying, I've just finished this house, here's a picture of the lawn we've just mowed, you're not knowing that they're getting the work done. So you're paying for this work and you're not seeing updates. They're just kind of just coming in, clocking out. You're not seeing any updates. No one's messaging you anything. And although you have no news is good news, but having that kind of reassurance that they've actually gone and cut the lawn just by sending an update just puts your mind at ease. This is exactly the same as how your customers will feel. And I've actually seen a lot of brand, well, not a lot, I've seen a brand really get crippled by this back end of last year. They had really long lead times on their deliveries because their whole manufacturing setup was just weird. they've done it manufacturer on order. So as opposed to having it on the shelf and shipping it, when they ordered it, it was then manufactured, and their delivery times were taking up to 5 to 6 weeks, and people were very, very upset. Their Trustpilot ended up getting 1 star with over 300 reviews. And imagine if you're trying to scale a brand and that is what your Trustpilot says. Although these reviews can be faked and things like this, it's still not a good look on your brand. So this is something that you really don't want to fall into the trap on. I'll put together a 5 series email flow, basically breaking it down how you can use Uber's strategy with your post-purchase flow. So the first email is just saying thank you for purchasing, your order's being packed, shipped, whatever it is that you're doing to get this order ready. Whatever your shipping process is, make it unique to you guys yourself and break it down, because the emotion you're going to be giving your customer is the reassurance that you've received the order, it's confirmed, it's going out there, and that's just going to put their mind at ease. Then a couple of days later, we want to be following up with email 2. This is all providing you've got a really seamless shipping process and it's not too long. If it is longer, we can kind of prolong this and put a few fillers in there, just keeping people updated, because let's say, for example, they thought the order was going to take a week, but it's going to take 2. By you saying that we've run into some issues with our shipping, things are going to be taking a little bit longer than expected, it should be with you in the next week. People are then updated and they kind of feel reassured that although they've been told it's going to be longer, they've been told about it early. So it's not really going to be too much of an issue, and you're going to avoid these bad reviews because you've done something about it. You can even offer something like free shipping on your next order or something like this just to kind of lighten the load. We've done this for a lot of dropshipping brands as well. So email number 2, what I'll put is we're getting your order ready, which is kind of what they do with Uber Eats. This is when you can start building up the hype about their products, so kind of what they can expect, get them excited and get them over that buyer's remorse that they've actually made a good decision investing with you guys. Again here, make them look forward to actually getting the product. This email is pretty simple. You can kind of include the benefits, what they can expect, things like this. Then email 3 is it's on its way. This one's another good one. I kind of focus on the benefits and what you should do while you're waiting. So if there's anything you can do to get ready for getting the product, reminder of the benefits, which is the main point we want to be relying on here. Even add a little bit of a cross sell, which is not too pushy, just kind of just on the sly, mainly focusing on the benefits and what they can expect. Here again, we mentioned that you can also mention that saying there's a shipping delay, it's taken longer than expected, but we've resolved it. It's going to be here within a week, whatever it could be. Again, you've just kind of killed that issue nice and early. Email 4 is it's nearly here. This is when it's about to land. Here's what to expect, how to use it, how to get the most out of it, avoid mistakes using it. You can include guides, demos, pro tips, everything like this, which your customer is going to get the most out of. Because ultimately, if they don't have a good experience using your product, so if they have, let's say a common one is skincare, because they have a lot of big claims that it's going to remove wrinkles, remove spots, acne. These things take time to come into place. This could take 3 months before they even start seeing any benefit from using the product. But if you give your customer all the correct information, the correct guides, the correct usage, they're going to get the best out of it. And more importantly, they're going to want to come back for some more in the future. Email 5 usually wants to be like it's arrived or just after it's arrived. Here it is. Here's a reminder to actually use the product, because a lot of people do purchase stuff. And with it being an impulse, they maybe don't use it to the maximum. They buy it, they use it, it sits there. So by you kind of encourage them to use it correctly, they actually obviously get the full use out of it and get a good experience using it. This is also a good time to ask for some feedback or reviews, keeping people looped in your ecosystem, and ultimately growing your brand as well, because the more positive reviews you get, the better your brand is going to look. Then you can also reinforce the benefits, especially, which is what I mentioned before. Sometimes it does take time to see the results, but you can kind of map it out saying week 1, you see this, 3, 4, whatever it could be, relate it to your product, but make sure they understand the whole process of using it. The post-purchase flow is something which is overlooked by a lot of brands. They just kind of keep it simple, keep it straight to the point and just say, thank you for ordering. Here's some more products, buy me, buy me, buy me. Whereas this is probably the most important thing when it comes to retaining customers, because these are the people that have just invested in you. If you're giving them the time of day to get the best out of their product, giving them all the information, making them feel like they're worthy customers, this is going to help you increase your retention in the long term, which is ultimately how you're actually going to scale your brand. So then you're not focusing on getting one new customer. You can actually get the most out of the customer you've already acquired, and you can keep them coming back for some more. Even if your new products come through, new drops, if you've got replenishables, they can come and buy some more. This is honestly the most important thing when it comes to scaling your brand for the long term. If you've got any questions about this kind of flow with your e-commerce brand yourself and you want to learn some more, feel free to use a link below, and there'll be a link to my website where we can give you a complete free audit and marketing plan so we can go through your post-purchasing flow as well, showing you what you're missing and how an actual real structured one would look. Use the link, you can book a call with me personally, and we can get that set up for you. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.